Hey guys, welcome back. You are now joining 24/7 Comics Book Club. Yep. We are now on episode 6 of Let's Do a Powerbomb. And if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, follow our channels for all new exclusive content. And of course, the next edition of Let's Do a Powerbomb. Carl, please tell us, where did we leave off last episode?
Man, we went through Do a Powerbomb number 1. And it's a great, amazing book. And I think it's one of the masterpieces from Daniel Warren Johnson, short DWJ. And, just super excited to share this book with everyone because I do feel like it was a key moment in the world of DWJ where, it basically set him up to now be the, writer, creator of Transformers in his latest revision. And so those books are totally killing it. But I think for everyone that knows about Transformers, I think only maybe like 1 out of 20 knows about Do a Powerbomb. And so hopefully as we dive into this, we could get more folks into reading this book. So with that said, issue number 2. But before that, we want to definitely share a couple books. This is the artist edition, Evermind number 3, Evermind number 2, Evermind number 1. 24/7 Comics, we are a creator-led publishing company. So we encourage you to like, subscribe, as well as sign up for our newsletter on 247comics.com. Evermind was a Kickstarter campaign that happened last year, and it was co-created by Sean Chen and Daniel Wu. And now these premium editions are available on 247comics.com. And why are they premiums? Because they are just heavy 120-pound press, and it just gives it much more of a premium reading experience. And we even hosted a signing event not too long ago with about 200 plus people show up, fans of both Daniel and Sean, and they showed a ton of support. And so we are very grateful and excited for, if you haven't had a chance to read Evermind yet, it's now available on 247comics.com. And if you prefer the artist edition, this is also available. So definitely check it out. And then with that said, let's move on to what we're reading today.
Ooh, now that is a cool cover.
It's a super cool cover, but it's not the main cover. And what I didn't realize was there's like a glare, which is kind of cool.
Oh, wow.
But, as said, mentioned in the last episode, during this time, it was very memorable because I was on set shooting a feature in Chicago. And I think issue 2 had come out in the midst of it all. And so I won't repeat all the creator stuff. We all know Daniel Warren Johnson, Mike Spicer, Russ Wooten. And then for this one, we got the variant cover by Ricardo Lopez Ortiz. So it sounds like there's only 2 covers per issue. And Sarah, let's talk about what happens. Like, where are we now?
Yes, so we're brought right back into this kind of like underworld death match scenario. So we have the necromancer Willard Necroton, and he has transported Lana into this other realm and given her kind of an amazing offer. If she succeeds in this tournament, she can actually bring her mother back to life. So huge cliffhanger, left us right there. And we're just kind of like thrown back in here. They're going to have a nice drink. Ooh.
Yeah, and what's super fun about it is like we have that cliffhanger, but when we open up, DWJ gives us like almost like an origin story for this necromancer. And so he basically talks about his past. It looks like he's been around forever. And then ultimately, through this war, he was banished into this place. And he's pretty much been stuck here ever since, banished over time.
Yeah, he's so much trouble that he was actually kicked out of where they keep the trouble. So we'll see. It seems like this is definitely an illegal operation, even for this realm.
Yeah,
not
which
sure
is
you're
super
supposed
funny.
to be making these guarantees, but he's such a badass. I just love it. And she's like unfazed by him. She's like,
so like, what's going on here? But at the same time, I love how he kind of like he's kind of like a, how do you describe this guy? He's kind of like a scoundrel, you know? He's like slumped
Yeah.
over, he's like balancing his chair, and it's like the most annoying dude you can meet, but also kind of like the guy you love to hate, right? But you kind of
Right.
can't
He's got
hate
like a
him.
pirate vibe going on.
Yeah,
Love
and
it.
ultimately you're also kind of left wondering like why the heck is this guy engaging, this wrestler who's trying to struggle to be a real wrestler, and he basically shares like he with all this time the television is what kind of got him through space and time, and ultimately he says, well, the reason you're here is I love this page. Because I love pro wrestling. It's so hilarious. This is like one of
So
my favorite pages
crazy.
in the whole series.
And people do. It's like you either love it or you don't understand it. And I think even for me that just started getting into it again, I'm like, oh, it is cool. It's
Dude,
fascinating.
they know how to pull the strings, all the drama and everything. I think UFC has adopted a lot of that over the course of its evolution, because they
Right.
realize like just the hardcore fighting is not enough. So they've definitely been like pushing some of the characteristics and all that out as well.
It makes sense too. It's like you want your characters to, you know, be relevant longer. So creating a story behind them rather than just like, okay, this fighter is going to get pummeled and then he's only good for so many matches. It's like way more exciting to bring a little drama into it.
Mentions a match with Cobra Sun, so you see her face is kind of like you. But then what's kind of cool too is then he shows this moment of hope by showing that there's a chance your mother can come back.
Ah, that's so messed up. Almost lets her get, I mean, just that whole this panel where she's like running up to her and just turns into water. That's just, I feel like that's like a
Yeah,
nightmare so many of us have had.
I
It's just
know. So
like,
sad.
it's one way to manipulate, but he is
So
saying take some time to think about my offer, you know, check it out, enjoy the scene. It doesn't seem much different from where she likes to hang out in the real world. So it's taking
so
her to one
ultimately, yeah,
more.
because they say like you could come back and tomorrow if you want to do this. But what's really fun is this is kind of the beginning of this like ongoing gag that he creates, which basically is that uh he's like single elimination, yes, and she's like, so who's gonna win? And she's like, what are you talking about? I have no idea. That's the whole point. Like I said, he's like, she's like, it's pro wrestling. It's a script, and he's just kind of looking at her like, what? And then basically cracks up because he's like, what are you talking about? Like it's
That's
hilarious.
so cute.
Yeah.
And I love that. Just poking fun.
So
Poking
he
fun at the
basically
whole wrestling world because to a lot of people it is real. It's physically real.
it's hilarious. So basically,
And the code is to never admit it's not real.
exactly. And so it's funny because like he thinks she's actually being funny, but she's dead serious that like, hey, man, what are you talking about? So there was this huge disconnect as to like, what wrestling is.
I could think of one person that might be interested. Okay, well, it seems like she hasn't agreed, but he's assuming she is. And now she's back off to her world.
So he takes her to this, giant poster, basically I'm guessing outside of a stadium where a match is about to take place, and it's with Cobra San and who the person that killed her mother, and then this guy Kaneda the Destroyer. So she's like, "What the heck am I doing here?" And basically this tournament is a tag team tournament. So he says you need a partner, and basically brings up this idea of someone else who may be just as motivated to help bring her mom back, to right his wrong because it was his fault that she passed.
That's pretty crazy. And she's constantly still, you can see in the top panels, ignoring her dad. Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have time for it, doesn't want to be held back by it. And this should be interesting.
So
Her mother.
basically, on this one, we now are like diving into, it's 10 years past. Cobra Kai looks, a little older, and he basically, like, long story short, just gets whooped.
Yeah. He's looking a
And,
little
like,
rough here, guys.
yeah, the worst way. So he like slaps him in the chest. This guy just looks mean and just like beats him over the head. You thought he had him, but then he's about to hit him, and he does hit him. But what happens here?
Man,
This is crazy.
this is so around the chair has barbed wire on it.
Yeah.
I love it. This is just like, I mean, it is sad for athletes. It's like, especially in this profession, like he's shunned from the main event. Now he's in this like underground situation and he just doesn't care.
Now, what's a really cool moment here, though, is you kind of feel for him because there's a moment where he obviously has the upper hand, flipped the guy over. He's about to hit the guy with a barbed wire chair, and then he looks back, and the guy's like, "What are you waiting for?" And then it's basically Yua who's like asking, and he's like, "What the heck?" And you see his face. This moment of hesitation, and then he gets kicked in the stomach. Yeah. So
he's having flashbacks. He's still totally PTSD over this. Oh, and a fork.
It's crazy. He took the freaking fork out, dude, and basically stabs him on the chest. What kind of wrestling is this?
Woo! This is very underground.
Yeah,
a fork straight to the chest.
Awesome, so good, so good.
Oh my goodness gracious! Yes, we love it.
It's now so funny though. Like
tubes. Oh my god!
Growing up, I remember the light bulbs, like these like light bulbs, and it does have like an effect. But man, like, does it even hurt? I don't feel like it would hurt because it just shatters, right?
Right.
But it does create like a cool effect.
It sounds cool.
Yeah, so he basically nails him, smash, blam. I mean, it's awesome. Like I love all the sound effects. He like draw stab across.
Now, quick question for people like me that don't know exactly. The smash, for example. Is that done by the letterer, or was that something that was drawn and colored in?
I don't know.
Like, is that a DWJ thing, or would that be a letterer?
Let me take a look real quick. He actually does a lot. Most of the time, he does draw it, but I believe he does draw this one as well.
Yeah.
So I think I have the original art here somewhere.
So
cool. Oh, here it is. Here it is. It's on my. He draws it. He actually draws. He draws the letter like.
Oh yeah.
See it crack. Let's look at smash. Let's see that. Yeah, he does. He used whiteout. He used whiteout, and he actually draws the smash in there. Can you see it? Yep.
That's awesome.
Pretty cool.
See, that's what I'm telling you guys. Like seeing the artist edition.
Yeah.
It's mind blowing.
Big difference. So you definitely see that it's colored over. But yeah, anyways, he gets a butt kick. He loses. And you're wondering, like, what happened to this guy who was like, challenging the champion just 10 years ago, but he looks like he's a mess.
Yep. It looks like he's getting a very small payment. And here she goes. Here's the introduction. She is facing the man that caused her mother's death.
Yeah. In fact, it's a really like, kind of a meaningful conversation because you're kind of like, she has to like suck up her pride and go ask this man who basically killed her mother for a favor to join in, and he's like, heck no, and yeah, it's crazy.
This is so crazy though, because how does he know? In this all white background panel, Cobra's son is like, what? He transported me to some other dimension, big black castle, right? And you need a tag team partner, right?
Yeah, well, it's because he did the same thing to him. Yeah, so basically what happened was I think what DWJ did was to just fast forward, like, by using this dialogue to basically say, like, this whatever happened to you yesterday with this necromancer, that happened to me as well. So
I love
the necromancer basically hit them both. And in a way, it kind of set them up, right? And so he's also kind of like struggling, right? Which is really cool. But I think
that's incredible. It's up to something.
So kind of fast forward, they have a conversation. He basically says no, but then at the end, he says no because she's like an amateur, but then at the end he's kind of gives in, basically saying like, you know what, I'll do it. And then what's cool is then you kind of cut to, her walking away. She basically calls her dad and tells her dad that she's gonna be away for a while, and you're kind of like, man, you're feeling for it, but at the same time, like, I don't think her dad's been presented in this light for a while. He kept it very short, and he basically just says like, she's like, I'll be gone for a while, and he's like, okay. He just says be careful. And so I think there is a moment before this kind of big reveal that he looks at the phone, it ends, and then you realize the dad is Cobra-san. Man. Such a moment. I remember when I flipped the page.
You killed wifey. That's like,
woo!
so
Wow.
deep.
Wow.
But you know what? Thank goodness.
That's crazy. So what a cliffhanger, right? Like, by design, when you read this as a issue 2, you're just kind of like, what the hell? Like, he killed wifey, right? So it's so powerful. I think this is.
And then you're like, damn, that hurts so much more. Oh, it's too good.
So a quick fact here. I read this on an interview or something. DWJ said this wasn't even a thing till he was almost done with it. Like, he, thinking through all the issues and everything. It was like issue 4 or 5 or 6, whatever, until he said, oh man, like Cobra Kai is her dad. So it came in later as idea. So it just really shows how often, you kind of have to like go to cul-de-sacs and go dead ends just to find these cool gems. Because what a freaking awesome moment to now realize it's a father and daughter affair.
He's like, wait, I can make it even better.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What a great twist.
I hope you guys don't all think we're all about violence, but we do enjoy it. So.
We love the action. So it goes back to, DWJ. I love how he engages the fans, takes the time to answer these emails, which I think doesn't happen much anymore, because a lot of the creators actually just doesn't want to put in the time, I think.
Yeah.
And then he also engages the art fans. So, a lot of these guys have art. He plugged their IG, which I think for a lot of, struggling upcoming artists, like, I'm sure they totally appreciate. Yeah, I mean, there's way more art in issue 2 than there was in issue 1.
That is wild.
Of course, the merch.
And those cool
and, boom. With that said, issue number 2. How do you feel? I mean, dude, like, I love this issue. I actually felt like this was like my favorite issue of it all, because even though it's probably less action than the other issues, but man, like, that heartwarming moment of just the reveal, I was just kind of like, whoa.
It's really? So meaningful. And it's kind of crazy because you're like, wait, that's just the second issue. Like, what else?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, Necromancer.
Yeah, Necromancer. This guy's a character. This was like his issue. If there was like a, Infinity War Endgame where like it was Thanos' movie, this was like the Necromancer's issue.
And then you're like, oh wait, maybe he's not all bad because he's putting them together. Yeah, I don't know. So maybe that explains I fall for things easier. I'm like, he's not that bad.
Yeah.
What's the catch though? We're gonna find out the catch in the next issue, guys. Stay tuned.
Thanks for checking us out, guys. Stay tuned for the next episode, and don't forget to subscribe, click like, and share this with a friend. And we'll see you at the next issue of 24/7 Comic Book Club.
Yeah, see you guys.
No shortcuts, no fake smiles were real.